So within this month, there's a few game sequels that I'm after. That being with Ghost of Yotai and The Outer Worlds 2. And that got me thinking, are these games going to be better than the previous game? Because there's a lot of game franchises where I played one of the earlier entries, and then with the sequel, I didn't like it as much. So today I thought I'd come up with a little list with games where I preferred the earlier entry rather than the newest entry, or sequel for short. But for this video, they're not going to be straight sequels. For example, the first game that ever came out, then the second game that ever came out. It could be the third game and then the fourth game it came out. So it's not a straight sequel, but it's following game. Okay, starting off with one of my favorite franchises, Fallout. And the game we're going to be talking about today is Fallout 4. Now, don't get me wrong, Fallout 4 is a great game, but compared to Fallout 3, and I'll say New Vegas for example, even though it's Obsidian, but compared to Fallout 3, it did not hit the same for me. The first thing I didn't really like as much as Fallout 3 was the aesthetic. So in Fallout 3, when you originally walk out of the vault, you are greeted to this post-apocalyptic, gringy looking wasteland. And you know you are in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Whereas with Fallout 4, you walk out of your vault into this nice, colorful wasteland, and it just basically looks a bit run down. But everything's still colorful, there's no pollution in the air, blue skies, and I just didn't like the aesthetic of Fallout 4 compared to Fallout 3. Another thing I didn't really like about Fallout 4 was the voice acting. The voice acting itself was fine, but you're meant to be playing an RPG where you play as your own character. Whereas with Fallout 4, you play as a character basically with a skin on it. For example, you play as a guy and you have the same voice if you change your skin for anyone. You can't change your voice. You're basically playing the same character but with a different skin on it. And that takes a bit of the RPG element away from the game. Whereas with Fallout 3, you don't have a voice actor and you can kind of just interpret it in your head. And for me, it comes out as a better experience because I feel like I'm playing as that character. I'm not playing as someone else's character, if you get me. Another thing, which I understand why they did it, but I feel like it took too much of the game up. The creative system, where you create all your shelters and you have all your followers gathered there, and I do like that concept, but I don't know if I liked it in a Fallout game. Like, I would happily play a game doing that, but I'm not really here to play, for example, a sim sort of game. Myself spent too much time doing that sort of stuff, where with Fallout 3, you go into the wasteland and you're on your mission to go and find your father, and it makes you want to explore the world more rather than I'm going to sit in my little encampment here, building this up, getting all my followers, and yeah, I don't really like it when games do that. But I do like that element of a game, but I would rather it in a separate game, if you know what I mean. And don't get me started on Fallout 76. That just brought that to another level. But I do get the concept of it because you are rebuilding the society in the wasteland. And I wouldn't hate it if they actually brought it back, but I don't feel like it's needed. I'm not going to go over every single detail I hate about Fallout 4 because I don't hate the game at all. I really do like the game. And I think with their DLC Far Harbor, they brought it back to that Fallout 3 sort of vibe. As soon as you get off the boat, you know this is it. But again, I do really like Fallout 4, and I would happily go and replay that game through now. Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Now, I know a lot of people prefer the original compared to the sequel, and I'm one of those people. I feel like with Marvel Spider-Man 1, it was his own thing. It concentrated a lot more on Peter than Marvel Spider-Man 2 did, where you feel more like a hero as Peter Parker. Whereas with Spider-Man 2, you don't really feel like a hero. You are the one being saved a lot of the time by either MJ or Miles Morales. And I know you play as two different characters in Marvel Spider-Man 2 and you can't concentrate on Peter as much. But I feel like you could have gone around this a better way. I prefer the story of Marvel Spider-Man 1. I don't feel like there's any chores to do on that game apart from maybe the Harry Osborn stuff, but you know. And I feel like with Marvel Spider-Man 2, the story was kind of like predictable more so than number 1, and it just didn't grip me as much. It's still a great game. It's still a great game, but I don't know if this is actually a thing. But I've heard stuff that they basically cut stuff out of Marvel Spider-Man 2 to put more MJ missions in there. What are you doing? No one likes the MJ missions. If you do, then okay. And I don't know why they even put more MJ missions in this. They expanded on the MJ stuff more in this game than they did the original game. Why the hell? Let's give her some Spider-Man stun gun sort of thing in number 2 to make her feel relevant. No. Why is she feeling like more of a hero than Peter Parker is? Why? Don't get me wrong, Peter Parker does do a lot of heroic stuff in this game compared to number 1. Obviously, it concentrates more on him, and obviously it's his own story, but like I said, I don't know. Something about this game just didn't grip me as much, and I would like to know what other people's opinion are on this game, because I don't know. I am looking forward to number 3, don't get me wrong, just lay it back a bit. Next, I'm going to say God of War Ragnarok. Again, this is a great game. This is actually a really great game, but compared to God of War 2018, I think I preferred 2018. Going into God of War 2018, this is a game where I haven't really played something like this sort of game. And it's probably because I went into this game expecting hack and slash like the old God of Wars. And it's basically not entirely that. Whereas with God of War Ragnarok, you know what to expect going into that game. And I suppose with these sort of games, when you've had the original and then you go to the sequel, if it doesn't blow you away, then ultimately you're going to be disappointed. Another gripe I have with this game, which I know a lot of people probably do, the Atreus section. This is not needed. You could have whacked this into a small cutscene or, you know, a smaller segment, for example. This segment was about 1 to 2 hours long, and I feel like it just slowed down the story for quite a lot of time. The Atreus section, when you're actually with like Odin and stuff, that was pretty good. I actually quite enjoyed that bit, and I didn't mind just wandering around looking at stuff. But the first segment didn't need it. I feel like the story on this game is much more rushed than the last game as well. Probably because they're trying to compact so many things into one game. And I understand that you can only make a game so long, but there was probably a better way of going about this. Maybe put a little bit of DLC at the end, which they actually did give free DLC for, props off to them. But I just feel like the whole story in general was kind of rushed. It was still good, but you could have dragged out a bit further, or, you know, just done something else to make it feel a bit more better. Obviously, with this game as well, you're kind of just expanding on the world that you kind of knew in God of War 2018. You're revisiting kind of sections that you've been to before, and it's very familiar. Whereas with God of War 2018, the whole world is unfamiliar to you, and you're just guessing what's going on. For example, for guessing what's going on, the stranger in God of War 2018 is like, who the heck is this guy? Why is he coming after us, and who is he basically? And then in God of War Ragnarok, the first person you basically encounter that's after you is Thor. Everyone knows who Thor is. Not a bad thing, by the way. I actually really did enjoy the Thor fighting scenes, but you know, yeah, that's just another thing. Like, it's not as mysterious of a game because you know what you're going into already, where it is to be expected because it's a sequel. Maybe with the next God of War game we won't know what's going on again because there's rumors of it going to different places, maybe the Egyptian era or something else. And I'm actually really looking forward to the next God of War game because I still haven't completed God of War 3, by the way. I've completed God of War 1 and 2 this year, and I'm still yet to do 3. So then I can get all the story and I know everything about the Kratos lore. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to the next game. But I really do love these games, by the way. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next game. The next one I'm going to talk about is Fable 3. This is another game which isn't a bad game, but I did not like it as much as number 1 or number 2. And I'm sure a lot of people share this opinion. With Fable 3, it feels a lot less RPG-esque. Again, going to the likes of character creation, where you basically have to choose a male or a female, and then you're basically stuck as that character. You can't really do much customization with your main character, and you're basically stuck on a one-path sort of story. Rather with Fable 1 and 2, you go your own sort of route through those stories. I've completed Fable 3, I want to say twice, and both times I did enjoy this game. Like I said, don't get me wrong, I do like this game, and I probably remember it a lot more than Fable 1 and 2. But from what I remember from Fable 1 and 2, I remember the story being a lot better, a lot more things to do, and you just didn't feel as limited as you did with Fable 3. And I don't know if Fable 3 just didn't sell well, and that's basically why the franchises ended for so long, or it's just simply that the story was over for now, and they're obviously bringing out a new one next year, but I don't know if Fable 3 was basically the time where the franchise just went like that and plummeted. because it would make sense, because I don't feel like this game is as good as 1 and 2. Like, I feel like the consequences in number 3 just didn't matter. But I did like this game, and that was just another one I thought off the top of my head. Next, a franchise I went through probably about within like the last 2 years, which is Kingdom Hearts. There is a lot of Kingdom Hearts games. I'm talking a lot of them. But if we're talking 1, 2, and 3, number 3 is probably not as good as 1 and 2. There is elements in Kingdom Hearts 3 that are better than 1 and 2. For example, the combat is actually better. It plays a lot smoother, and it's so much newer than the other games. It should. But the story of the base game's not as good. One of the main elements that Kingdom Hearts basically sells it to you, which is, if you don't know Kingdom Hearts, it's basically Disney mixed with Final Fantasy sort of vibes. And what you had in Kingdom Hearts 1 up until number 3 is Final Fantasy characters, which they took out of the whole of the base game of Kingdom Hearts 3. Why? And that's just one of the things that I just didn't like as much. It's a very fun game, but the story just doesn't feel as good as number 1 and 2 because they've left out so many main characters. But the DLCs for this game brought that back. They brought back the Final Fantasy characters, and the story they brought out in the DLCs is arguably better than the base game's story altogether. I did love Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'll go back on that game today and probably enjoy it a lot, but compared to number 1 and 2, it didn't grip me as much until I got onto the DLC, which I would probably rate the DLC probably better than number 1. Not better than number 2, but the DLC is probably better for me than Kingdom Hearts 1. Still love the game though, and I can't wait for number 4 when I'm probably about 50 years old. Like I said at the beginning of this video, this was just a small list of some games where I had a bit of a gripe with, where I preferred the previous game than I did the following game. There is more games that I can think of off the top of my head, but to be honest, if I did, I'll probably have pitchforks thrown at my head. And maybe I might say that on a later occasion, but for today, if you did enjoy this video, please do consider subscribing. This channel's new. This is going to be a channel where I mostly speak about games. So if you're interested in that, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.